I'm Ben Mead, and I'm here with Troy Huth, a member of the Bascom Fire Department Board. I'm here with Chris Daniel, the Assistant Chief of the Fire Department, and Mark DeVault, the Chief of the Bascom Fire Department. So, what is the history of the Bascom Fire Department?
Well, Ben, Bascom Community Volunteer Fire Department was formed in 1928. At that time, it was formed of basically a lot of community members. Everybody just lent a hand and so forth. It basically ran that way until 1996, when there was a liability, due to liability concerns, they formed a joint fire district. After that, we also passed a levy in 1998 that allowed us to basically fund a department through this type of situation.
So this fire department has a really good history. So, how does the fire department currently operate?
After 1998, basically the funding was provided by a tax levy, and the townships ceased their funding. The EMS and fire at that now are located at Station 1, where we're at currently, but we've also built have two other locations. We have a Station 2 and a Station 3. Station 2 is near Tiffin, and Station 3 is located in the Loudon Township building. We do this to help keep the insurance rates lower for basically the district residents. Without providing these three stations, the district residents would see an increase in their rates. The current station that we're in right now was built in 1928. That was the first portion of it, and I'll show you that later. Along with that, there was additions put on in 1964 and 1978. Currently, we run 3 engines. We have a rescue, a tanker, 2 brush EMR trucks, an air trailer, and 2 boats on 1 trailer. In 2016, we had 36 men and women on the roster, and we had 374 fire and EMR runs. So as you can see, that's a lot of runs in 1 year for a volunteer organization. Add to that, volunteer firefighters currently, we're required to receive 54 hours of continuing education every 3 years, and 15 hours if you're an EMR of continuing education every 3 years on that, above that. So it's a big commitment to provide this for the residents of the district.
Well, it's certainly clear that the Bascom Fire Department works very hard for their community. So, when was the last time that the Bascom Fire Department passed a levy?
As I mentioned before, in 1998 we passed a levy to basically fund the fire district. At that time we passed a 1.8 mil levy. That is due to 1998 funding. We have not passed a levy since then. At that time it was passed as a continuing levy, and so it continues to provide the funding that we've needed over the years.
Well, that's a long time without a new levy. What do you anticipate for your future needs of the fire station?
Well, as we've been able to stay here for many years at this station, but we've definitely outgrown it. The needs of today's world are much different than years ago. So first and foremost, it would be nice to build a new station. For many years we've been looking at the possibility of building a new station to house the trucks, the fire trucks and EMS, but we've always kind of set it aside. But the time is now to aggressively pursue that. The other thing is you know, will we see an increase in runs? Just in my time on the department, we went from approximately 80 runs when I first got on to where we're at now. So who knows what the future will bring to us on that. The other thing is we have to continue to work to keep our apparatuses, and what I mean by apparatuses is the trucks and so forth. NFPA is I'll let Troy talk a little more on that, but NFPA requires us to basically replace it sets a standard for every 25 years. And Troy, would you?
Yeah. Yeah, what NFPA is it's a national. It stands for National Fire Protection Association, and what it does, they write standards that fire departments should follow. They're not laws, but they are standards. They recommend that you replace your fire apparatus every 25 years. Turnout gear. Turnout gear is what the firemen wear. Firemen and firewomen wear. It's their protective suit. They recommend that get replaced every 10 years. Air pack bottles, the air tank that the firemen wear on their backs, are supposed to be replaced every 15 years. So they write the standards, and we try very hard to follow those standards. Heaven forbid we have a firefighter hurt that's wearing a pair of turnout gear, bunker gear that is 15 or 20 years old when the standard says that it should be replaced every 10 years. So we definitely want to try to follow those standards as much as possible. That way we protect our firemen, our community, but also that keeps us out of any liability issues that could be arise from not following those standards. So yeah.
So with that, we have 4 apparatuses that are due for that. One of the things that we're going to try to do is doing stuff a little bit differently to try to stay within balance the checkbook as such, is looking into a used engine to replace one of our engines that are currently due to be replaced. That is a considerable cost savings, but we need to be careful when we buy used equipment that it is adequate for what our needs are.
Well, those are some very good points, especially about safety. We definitely don't want any firefighters being hurt because of outdated equipment. So how do you currently fund the fire department?
Right now, we currently fund, as I mentioned before, on the 1.8 mil levy. With that, it basically produces approximately $122,000, that levy does. Now, our total funding for the average of the last 8 years has been around $156,000. That is due to various donations. We have some contracts with Liberty and Jackson Township to cover sections of their township. But the issue with that is, as we look back from 2008 through 2015, the average expenses have been $170,000. So we have been running, we've been spending more than we have been bringing in the last 10 years or 8 years of this run of this levy. One thing that's helped us with that is we had a large carryover balance in 2008, which has allowed us to do these types of things. Currently, we have the operating carryover has increased the last 2 years, but that's due to not replacing the trucks. And as you will notice here later as we talk, I'll explain why the trucks are so expensive. If we took and repassed the current operating levy in today's world, it would be equal to $235,000. So you can imagine how much of a difference that is compared to the 1998 dollars.
Well, it certainly sounds like you could use a little bit more funds. What are your future plans, and so what are some future expenses that you predict to incur?
Well, as I spoke before, building for the future is one of the big items. That actually is what started this whole process, and wondering whether or not how we were going to fund a new station and so forth. But in that process, so this building, we've looked at various things over the last year and a half, various places, various stations. We've put a lot of effort into this. I guess you could call it a facility needs committee. Currently, the fire district has a purchase agreement set up to purchase the land on the west side of the causeway entering Meadowbrook Park. It's where the big gray barn is. We feel that property is a great property to allow us to still be part of the community, which was very important to us. Safe exit and entrance routes at that location. And it's along State Route 18, which is an excellent corridor for us to get from the east to the west side of our district. This station would be able to house all our current apparatuses that we have in this station. Plus, it would allow us to be able to bring back the boat trailer and the air trailer that currently are housed in Station 3 that are really not centrally located as we would really like. in doing this, we need to budget, approximately $110,000 a year, roughly, to be able to handle this type of a station as such. It should work out well with that. It keeps it as a nice long-term station, a 50-year solution, but it's not the Taj Mahal by any means.
Well, it sounds like you all have put a lot of thought into and planning into this new station. I understand that you are putting a levy on the ballot for May 2nd. Would you care to talk about that?
Yeah, actually I would, but let me cut back. A couple other things that we have for future funding are the basic costs that we have excluding the trucks. And, just for an example, we spend almost $14,000 a year on building cost. We have $31,000 that we spend in taxes and workman's comp and insurance. Workman's comp for firefighters is costly. Truck operation cost, the training and the pay. Basically, the firemen receive a stipend for each run. It's a small amount just to basically cover their gas expenses and things like that. We have gear, pagers, and that we spend. We have funds in, and we have other equipment. Currently that would take around $129,000 a year just to operate in that manner. $100,000 of that is not even in the capital improvements. That's just to keep the doors open and to provide what we do currently. The other thing is we have truck future needs. We have a rescue truck that's due to be replaced here soon. We have an engine that's due to be replaced. And as we go through the next 20 years, we have multiple trucks that are due to be replaced. When we look at this, it takes us about $108,000 a year. It's going to, with inflation, to be able to afford to buy these trucks. So, as going back to your question on the levy on the ballot for May 2nd, that is correct. We are putting a levy on the ballot. We are doing what we call a replacement levy. It will be taking the current 1.8 mil levy and replacing that levy with a 2.5 mil levy. This will produce $327,000 and some change. We will also receive about $35,000 from other incomes, various incomes such as township contracts, donations, etc. Each tenth of a mil would cost taxpayers approximately $3.50 per $100,000 of valuation on their property. But as you go down through the numbers, it basically is just going to cover our expenses. When we add up our base budget, our truck replacement, and our building per year, we are going to be right at budget. And it will continue to require us to stay balanced with our budget. We'll have to be proactive after going after grants and other opportunities for funding for the department as we have in the past.
Well, it certainly seems like there's a need for this replacement levy. So, can you give us a tour of your current facilities?
Absolutely, we'd love to. And this will give you a first-hand look at what we do in here. Many times I know people come in here when during the parade or Halloween and we have all the trucks emptied out of here. But once the trucks are in here, you'll get a much better understanding of how tight it is and the confines of how we basically outgrew our current station. So in here, as we started, we'll start right in here in the tour. This is our training room. This is where we meet. As you can see, it's not very spacious. I think it's like 13, 14 foot across and around 22 foot deep. Very undersized for 30-some members to be able to fit in here. But like I say, it's fit the needs in years past, and this used to be part of the Bascom Telephone Company's boardroom. And once they moved over to the other location, we were able to acquire this, and that's what we've currently been using. So let's go on into our radio room and offices, and we'll talk about those areas. So in here, this is our radio room and office, and basically our do-all area of the department. This is where we keep some files. We keep all our radios in here, the computers to insert our reports and documents. This is also where we'll stage when we're waiting on standby at the station. We answer our calls in here. It's our mail room. And it's also the entrance to our gear room and such. So we do a lot with this small space. So this part of the building is where we house our brush EMR truck. This is the newest truck in our fleet. This truck goes out on all our EMR calls. It runs a lot of calls throughout the week and so forth. It's also for brush and grass fires. The area that we're in right now is the 1928. This is the original portion of the fire station. But we also use this area for holding our gear. We have our gear cleaner extractor as such in here. The entrances to our restroom. As you can see, we pack a lot in this space as such. It's worked for many years, but it's also limits us on what we can and can't do. So this area of the station is our 1964 wing. This is where our main truck bays are. This is where we house our engine. Engine 10 is behind me here. This is our first run engine. This engine was repurchased in 2004, and while it looks great, it's halfway through its life cycle. The other truck that we have here is our engine, or our Rescue 18. This one's due to be replaced. This is our rescue truck. This goes out on accidents. Also provides manpower on structure fires, things like that. And it's a secondary EMR vehicle if our other primary EMR vehicles are out. Towards the back there, you could see our tanker. That's what shuttles the water to the fires as such. And we also house a second ambulance in this area. We're the only area as far as EMS that provides 2 ambulances for their district of area and so forth. That is our backup ambulance. One of the things you'll notice in this area of why this bay has worked okay for us for many years, the trucks have gotten wider and taller being the biggest issue, because originally this station was built with 10-foot tall doors. And as you look to the back there, you can see how the doors here on the left are taller than the doors on the right. We were able to cut out the header and raise the doors years ago so we could fit the engine 10 and tanker 13 in on this side. But we're not even able to put engine 10 and tanker 13 on the right side of the station due to the bar joist being too low, and we're not able to raise the doors to provide that. So for us to even be able to replace this truck, we'd have to spend extra money to be able to buy a low profile truck to even fit in a 10-foot tall door. That's been one of our biggest issues providing this. The other thing is length. As you can see, there's not a lot of length in between the front of the engine and the garage door. It's just as tight at the rear here, and these things have provided challenges for us. We've had to order trucks specifically shorter to be able to house them in our current area as such. So why don't you follow me and I'll show you a few more things that are tight. So as we come through here, we're entering between our tanker and our engine, and as you can see, it gets tight between these areas. And then as we follow along the front here, or let's go this way. I'll take you back to the EMS bay here. As you can see, it's very tight coming in here. We have to be very careful of how we enter and exit this place. The other thing that causes an issue is this station was designed for a tanker and engine to sit in the front bays originally. Years ago, when we added the rescue truck up front, we had to put the rescue truck up front. Well, the issue with it is during a grass fire, we send our grass truck, and then this is the second truck that runs. So since the engine's sitting in front of it, the grass truck has to back out into the alley, which causes a safety concern as well. If you'll follow me, I'll show you this other part of our station that's the newest portion. So as we walk through here, this is the newest portion. This was put on in 1978. This is the ambulance bay. We currently rent this to the EMS district. And as you can see, they use this space for a lot of things. Well, as well as it's worked for all these years, it's really not set up to current codes and so forth. It's not a good idea to have an ambulance with puffing out smoke and things like that in a sleeping room, in a spot to sit and lounge and so forth. They have their computers, their mini kitchenette, their couches. All those things are housed in this space. So this is another reason of basically we'd like to separate these types of things. We'd like to have separate day room for the EMTs as they're on duty to be able to be prepared to handle those things.
Makes sense.
So Ben, this is back into the 1928 portion of the building. This is behind our EMR truck, and as you can see, this is a new trailer we built for our grain rescue trailer as such. But here again, we try to slide it in here. We also keep foam. That helps us suppress the fires. We have our cooler that keeps our water and other beverages in here. And that's our only sink that we have to provide cleaning our packs and doing any kitchenette cleaning needs as such. The other thing you can see as you follow along here is this is a sleeping room that's inside here. It's one sleeping room that we have that we were able to slide into here years ago. And then we have our single restroom and a shower room. But like I say, we've tried to make the best of this space for as many years as we could. But here we are at this point.
Well, I can certainly see the need for a new station, but is there anything else with the current station that you find to be problematic?
Yes, Ben. Probably one of the biggest issues that the firemen will tell you, and probably anybody that enters after we have a run up here, is they'll notice the lack of parking space. Up front, we have about 3 spaces up front to be able to park the vehicle, and in the back, we only have approximately 3 or so spaces. So currently, we're imposing on our neighbors, the telephone company, many times for parking spaces, and we currently sit on 3/10 of an acre here. If we're able to move down to the park property or the west side of the park entrance, we have 2.3 acres there. That will vastly improve our safety of our parking and give us the room to expand and do our daily jobs safely for the public. And yeah, I guess that's it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for this tour. Well, I can definitely see from the tour that there's a need here for the levy. So you had some facts you wanted to talk about.
Yes, I did. I guess I want to stress that this is a replacement levy of the current levy. It would basically be a 7/10 of a mill increase in your mills. This would cost the average, or basically someone with a $100,000 home, approximately $5 more per month. And this is a continuing levy. So this would provide our long-term need for our fire department, and we're hoping that we don't have to visit the basically the district residents for 20 years plus, is our goal. We're hoping that once the station's paid off, that we're able to utilize those funds to help as inflation happens, that we're able to offset those costs of truck replacements and things like that. And along with that, I just want to stress that this is your fire department. We're only the stewards here. We take care of the things for you, but this is the community's fire department, and we just want to pass it off to the next generation in better shape than we found it.
Well, that's really important to stress that it's the people's fire department. For voters who have any questions, either about the levy or about plans for future construction, where can they go to ask those questions?
Well, they could get in contact with Troy here, or myself, or they could contact the station. My cell number is 419-937-8615, or the station number is 937-2346, or you could call Troy also. And just by all means, we're here to inform you and provide you any information that you can make an informed decision on May 2nd. And I can't stress enough, get out there and vote. This is very important. Your vote matters, and your fire protection and EMR needs are basically balancing on this.
Well, thank you for the tour. It was very informational, and it was nice to see all the facilities you have currently and the need for future facilities. Be sure to vote on May 2nd for the levy. Thank you.